so miserable about? There's a whole ocean of oil under our feet. No one can get at it except for me.
James Cameron and Peter Jackson. Stanley Kubrick and David Lean. Fritz Lang and David Wark Griffith. What unites these directors? Many of their films were shot in the so-called epic genre. These are large-scale, spectacular motion pictures with epic action, love affairs, conflicts of global ideas, and demigods as main characters. The epic genre has gained great popularity in historical and war films, peplums, westerns, science fiction, and fantasy. Among modern directors using this approach, Paul Thomas Anderson stands out in particular. He managed to take a different look at epic traditions and come up with a fresh interpretation of the format. Let's look at how Anderson breathed new life into the epic genre using the example of the film There Will Be Blood. And before we start, make sure to subscribe to our channel and watch our video essays about such films as The Godfather, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and Harry Potter. You can also support our channel by following the link in the description. We will be grateful for any donation amount.
You have a milkshake, and I have a milkshake, and I have a straw. There it is. That's the straw, you see. Watching. My straw reaches across the room and starts to drink your milkshake. I drink your milkshake. I drink it up!
The epic nature of Anderson's films often emanates from the main character. In his films, even miserable losers, private detectives with unsavory habits, and sex workers are exalted to the scale, if not the gods, at least the titans. Let alone the main character of There Will Be Blood. Daniel Day-Lewis plays an oil tycoon who goes through the ranks of small-time businessman to a wealthy and egocentric oil man. On the one hand, he is an overman, astute and charismatic, changing the world with his iron will. And on the other hand, he seems to be an underman, completely incapable of compassion, unable to hear loved ones, full of anger and ready to do anything for profit. He is God and the devil in one person, the Lord and the tempter, the creator and the destroyer.
I see the worst in people, Henry. I don't need to look past seeing them to get all I need.
Day-Lewis, as befits a great actor, fully devoted himself to the study of his character. Preparation for the role took the actor almost a year. Oddly enough, the source of inspiration in terms of appearance and behavior of the character was Dracula. Devilry, mysticism, and craftiness in the image of Daniel Plainview emanate precisely from the canonical incarnations of the famous bloodsucker. It was especially difficult to find the appropriate tone of voice. To achieve the desired result, Day-Lewis immersed himself in the study of recordings of people's voices of the late 19th, early 20th centuries. Throughout the 3 months of filming, the actor tried not to get out of his gloomy character, so even dangerous stunts, such as falling into a mine shaft, he performed himself. Characters of such power and scale are commonly found in ancient myths and biblical stories. Anderson repeatedly emphasizes the parallels with the latter. The main character is named Plainview, which could be interpreted as all-seeing. The preacher and the false prophet Eli is named after the Old Testament saint, who should return to the land before the second coming. And the title of the film, There Will Be Blood, refers to a quote from the book of Exodus. Such motifs extend the plot from the individual level to the global one. Thus, Paul Thomas Anderson managed to turn the story of financial success and self-destruction into a parable about the pernicious force of wealth and obsession with power.
Do you accept Jesus Christ as your Savior?
Yes, I do.
Would you be free from the burden of sin? There's power in the blood, power in the blood. Rescue of evil, the victory win.
Of course, the epic visual style of the film corresponds to such an epic content. Anderson and cinematographer Robert Elswit sought to make the frame simple and clear, but at the same time majestic, reflecting the scale of the plot. To do this, the film was shot using cameras outfitted with high-speed anamorphic lenses. Anamorphic format is a shooting technique in which the lens squeezes the image horizontally, allowing filmmakers to capture a wider field of view than the film or digital sensor would ordinarily allow. Anamorphic format gives the image a special depth of field, width, scale, and majesty, as well as the feeling of classic old movies. The filmmakers focused on 1940s, 1960s motion pictures, such as the westerns The Treasure of the Sierra Madre and Red River, filmed with an eye to a theatrical release. Moreover, to give a special retro spirit, There Will Be Blood was shot on 1960s lenses, and some of the wide shots were even filmed on a vintage Patha lens of 1910. As a great admirer of Stanley Kubrick, Anderson borrows some of the visual techniques of his epic films. The film is dominated by smooth camera panning or dolly in and dolly out shots. Thus, the filmmakers give the action grandiosity in accordance with the canons of the epic genre. At the same time, there are many symmetrical compositions in the film that enhance the significance of the scenes. And expressive wide shots show us either majestic California landscapes or imposing, disproportionate to a mere mortal interiors.
I am the third revelation. I am the third revelation. I told you I would eat you.
We're family.
I told you I would eat you up.
We're brothers. We're brothers.
One of the most impressive was the scene of the derrick fire. A 25-meter rig made of pine was specially built for this. The burning flame was created using a special pump that supplied a mixture of diesel fuel and gasoline. The scene was filmed in one night and in one take, since there was no way to stop the fire or rebuild the rig for reshoots. The shooting was done from different positions simultaneously with 7 cameras. Some of the cameras were located in fireproof boxes due to the proximity to the fire. Anderson adhered to such naturalism throughout the filming. For example, some of the scenes were filmed in the Texas wilderness, where a deserted area with a small railroad and abandoned mines of the early 20th century was found. It is worth noting the director almost completely abandoned computer graphics in order to maintain a sense of authenticity. Using this approach, Paul Thomas Anderson reminded the world of another facet of cinema. Films cannot just tell the story of a particular person or a phenomenon. They can be impressive novels that explore deep problems and ambiguous characters. That is why There Will Be Blood is considered one of the most significant films of the 21st century.
Mr. Daniel?
I'm finished.